Chapter 8. To Jurai. It was the moment when the sun rose from behind Jurai that Onoka jumped out of hyperspace. Jurai only had one single giant continent covered in forest. The rest of the simply landscaped planet was ocean. But as they descended into the atmosphere, the ground surface illuminated by the morning sun exposed a scenic landscape. Beautiful. The observation room seemed to be flying in the sky as walls and floor were made of full-size screens that displayed the scenery outside. Onoka was not just flying towards the destination, but was taking a flight route that was reserved only to special visitors being welcome to the country, like Sena. How amazing! I saw it before in the video, but that huge tree is even bigger in person. The trees that they saw as they flew low through a forest area were almost a kilometer high. Sena could never in his wildest dreams ever imagine such a thing. Onoka suddenly changed course and headed for a forested area shaded from the sun. The light from the people who lived in the trees nearby could be seen around them, along with plenty of silhouettes in the huge trees floating in the darkness. It looked like a huge Christmas tree. However, Onoka raised its altitude a little, and Sena gasped in amazement at the scenery. That is Tenju. He looked where Ringo pointed. The silhouette which had blocked out the light was caused by an overwhelming mass that emerged into the sky where the overwhelming dimness ended. Does it go all the way into space? It was as if a hole had been opened in the sky. The scale of the tree made it look as if it supported heaven itself. It was even larger than the massive world trees that existed in Onoka and the Mikagami. Onoka slowly started moving along the outer periphery, keeping a certain distance from Tenju. Tenju, which was still cast in a silhouette because of the position of the backlighting, gradually began to emerge in the morning sun. The scenery appeared to be a divine thing, as if it was coming down from God. Oh! Since Sena had come up into space, he had come to see a large number of huge buildings that were larger than Tenju. However, none of them were naturally created. Sena forgot to breathe. It felt so mysterious to him. All of those who were there felt the same. Even though I've looked at it many times, it still makes me feel solemn. Ringo muttered as she sighed. Can we land soon? I'm a bit worried about, Sena came close to Ringo and asked her in a bit of a loud voice. Oh! Okay, that's a good idea. Ringo put her hands together and answered with a superb smile. Onoka sped up and headed to Tenju's upper level, the area of the Emperor's dominion. When Onoka came to land on Tenju, it opened up its petal-like gate to the hangar, and the Kamade slowly climbed out of it and started flying to a special port in the Imperial area. Our mission is finally complete, Sena said. The Kamade slowly descended and headed to its destination. Sena saw a huge lake when he arrived, along with giant vines and a wide variety of plants. There were some trees on the tree which were buried soil. Wow, I can't believe such a place could happen naturally. It's not natural, Captain. What? Tenju is the founder of royal trees and another body of tsunami. It's like the world tree that supports the habitable area of the royal ships. So, is that what created the royal trees? Yes, and around Tenju, it keeps the environment under control and of course the gravity as well. Such a huge object should have collapsed under its own weight, and we're almost 10 kilometers above the sky. Normally water would be frozen up here. At that time, Sena noticed how high up he was from the planet's surface. Hey, Kuriko-san, why are there gaps in the forest? It seems like nothing is growing in random places. Of course there were places on the continent where trees didn't grow, such as mountain ranges, but these gaps were not growing when there was nothing to hinder their growth. About 700 years ago, Ryooki invaded Jurai, and those are areas that were destroyed. Huh. Ryooki did this? Trees have been planted there, but it will take thousands of years before those scars disappear. The biggest hole was over 10 kilometers in diameter. I can't believe one ship did that much damage. Ryooki and the royal trees could destroy whole planets easily if things got serious. Kuriko, why did Ryoko do this? It was only a guess until we heard it from Ryoko herself, but she was trying to capture the founding tree tsunami. Captain, we've anchored into the landing beacon. Hakurin reported. On the screen the port of Jurai was displayed. The area seemed to fuse into the landscape as well as everything else around Tenju. Mostly because most things were made entirely of wood. It's surprising, right? Jurai is full of trees, so lots of things are made from wood. I was surprised too when I saw it for the first time, so I understand your feelings. Jurai is truly a mysterious beauty. It's almost impossible for me to believe that people live here. Well, it looks this way because Jurai is a settled planet, Hakurin said as she projected a video on the monitor. Settled? Yes, the Jurian people didn't evolve here. They were people who came from other planets. So everything here was carefully planned. If you go to the lower part of Tenju or out of town, you'll see it's quite lively and well-designed. If you have time, I can show you. Please do, Ms. Jayakiran. Jayakiran. Wait a moment. Where are you planning to take him? Captain, we will be arriving at the landing point soon. Kariko's voice stopped the conversation. A row of strong Jurian fighters and female officers in weird outfits greeted them on each side as they disembarked. No way. Kariko said as she came down with Hakurin from the Kamedake with Sena. She looked nervous to see those people. What's wrong, Kariko? Those are the royal guards, and there are representatives from all 4 houses. Hakurin spoke instead of Kariko. Some of them are Cedo's people. In this case, the female officers are dressed like this because they are no longer married. They either lost their husbands or are divorced. They are experts in information gathering and are also Cedo's assassination squad. Wow, this is quite the welcome, Amain said. Hakurin nodded. There are guards from all 4 houses. That means that the baggage that Sena has is very important. How long are you just going to stand there? It's rude. Eri sent a confidential communication to them from the Kamedake. Kariko looked spooked. Sorry, let's go, Captain. Sena walked out with the package elegantly. It is an important item. I have to carry it properly. As he began walking, the fighters beat the long sticks they had on the ground several times and gave ceremonial gestures. This is a ritual done to the royal family when they return. Kariko, what do you think is in there? That thing has to be a tree. There's no other possibility. That explains the guards. Kariko and Hakurin spoke to each other quietly as they walked behind Sena. The two in the middle walked towards Sena when Kariko and Hakurin came up to them. Kariko and Hakurin got down on their knees 1 step behind Sena and lowered their heads graciously. Sena Yamada, thank you for bringing this all this way. They bowed deeply to thank Sena. You're a member of the Kamedake's crew, go with them. Hakurin whispered to Kariko, who got up to follow Sena. 2 female officials began to walk with Sena. The other officers to the right and left began lowering their heads as Sena passed by, bowing in pairs and following a certain distance behind Sena. Sena got into a large open bus. The forest of giant trees and flowers on one side, and small pond and a river flowed for about 50 meters on the other. As the bus went through a natural park where butterflies and birds flew, Sena was watching the odd scenery when a female officer came and put her hand on Sena. It's good to see you're safe. Sena heard a voice he recognized. Kariko did too. Aunt Sakiko. Mom. I'm glad you're safe too, Sakiko said. Sena seemed relaxed. He teared up. Mom? Why are you here? Kariko asked. Sakiko wiped away Sena's tears with one hand while holding Sena's hand with the other. I came because I wanted to make sure you and Sena were safe. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you worry about us. Sakiko gently stroked her head and then headed over to Amain. I'm Sakiko Masaki, Kariko's mother. I am indebted to you for everything you've done for Sena-chan and Kariko. Sakiko thanked and bowed deeply at Amain. Oh no, I'm indebted to them. Amain got up from her seat and thanked her the same way. I look forward to showing you Jurai. If there is something you need, don't hesitate to tell us. Sakiko once again bowed and covered her face in a hood and returned to her original position. You look embarrassed, Kariko. When parents say hello to friends and colleagues, it's always embarrassing. She looks like she could be your twin. Everyone says when my mother was a student she looked exactly like me. Sena sat back and watched the scenery go by. The Kamedake had been moved to Onoka's hangar. Eri stayed and didn't go with Sena. She was with Tenio and Hakurio and NB on the Kamendake's bridge. I'm sorry, but it's much too damaged. We're going to have to retire it. Please wait to do so. I understand Sena's feelings well. I think he would like that. Ringo reflected on the monitor, gave a nice smile. It's his first ship, so I'm sure there is some attachment. Guys tend to have a strong attachment to their ships. Tenio turned to Hakurio. What are you looking at me for? I am not an expert in men's psychology, so I can't make a conclusion. I think we should hold off for a while, but not too long. We have to get to junking it soon. Sena was brought to a dark place, with buildings like those on Earth. Bing bong. Sena stood in front of a door and rang the chime. Home delivery for Cedo Kamiki Jurai. Yes, be there in a second. Through the intercom, he heard a cute voice from Cedo. The door opened with a lock-opening sound. Cedo came out in an apron. Please sign here. Sena handed the package to Cedo, then launched a monitor for her to sign. I don't have anything to sign with. How about a thumbprint? Cedo winked and said. Suddenly the housing complex disappeared, leaving only a rudimentary set of walls and a door in the large room. It had all been a hologram projection. The lights turned on and he saw it was a luxurious hall, a guest house, and Cedo's local officers and Kiriko were watching Cedo silently. Why did you turn on the lights? We hadn't even gotten to the fun part yet. Cedo. This is no time for a joke. Kiriko said. Oh, sorry Kiriko-chan. I've just spent so long preparing for this that I got a bit carried away. I'd expect this sort of thing from Eri, but not you. It makes no sense to have Eri sign for this package. And what's with the weird hologram house? Would you rather it be a gingerbread house? Cedo-sama, I feel like your acting skills could use a bit of work, one of the officers said. Yeah. I know I'm not that great, but Minaho-chan was supposed to be the one accepting it, and I had to fill in last moment. Cedo said, shutting the door of the house structure. I could see this working if maybe Sena was a little kid, but I dunno, she's too old. It just felt weird. The other officers started chiming in. I just came here to see Minaho act. I thought the story was good. I give it a 10. I think the actress is too old looking for the part. In terms of appearance, Cedo looked to be the same age as Eri, like she was in her late 30s, but with perfect skin. Her atmosphere was the only thing that gave away her age. Yeah, it was bad. I wonder where Minaho ran off to. Well, I guess it must have been important. Well, thanks to her being gone, we only had to watch this play halfway. It was a bad play. Behind the door, Cedo had been eavesdropping at the door, listening to her reviews. The walls fell over. Cedo had already changed into her formal wear. Sena was relieved it was over. Sena. I'm sorry for the hokey play. Cedo said with a delicate tone. Oh no. Don't say that, you did a great job. I mean, it was a bit much for me, but it suited you well. Sena said. Oh, I'm happy to hear you say that. Cedo smiled. Her officers sighed. It's too bad Eri-sama and Mikami-sama weren't here to see it. Ahahaha. Anyways, now that I've received my package safely, I should take a break until lunch. Who wants to show Sena around Jurai? Cedo began looking around. Her staff all eagerly raised their hands. Wow! As expected. You're a popular person. Who should I choose? Ms. Tsukiko Masaki, please. Kiriko shouted loudly as if to choose for Cedo. Well, that's fine, but, well, at least one more. Tsukiko Masaki, please do it by yourself. Kiriko stared at Cedo, who seemed dissatisfied. I said Tsukiko Masaki, please do it by yourself. All the officers lowered their hands when they saw the dangerous look in Kiriko's eyes. Fine. There's no helping it. Tsukiko-chan, please go take Sena to see Jurai. Amain, Ryoko, Kiriko-chan, and Hakurin, come with me to give your report on what happened. Cedo sighed. If you don't mind, I'd like to shower first. I need to change clothes. Oh, I see, I understand. Well then I will see you and Ryoko later. Yes, ma'am. Amain and Ryoko entered the transfer gate. I prepared quite the surprise for them where we're going. It's a shame. Please don't give us any unnecessary thank you presents. No. I must. What? Kiriko was surprised by Cedo's face as she counterattacked her statement. Sena has been suffering from various troubles until now, from natural disasters to attacks by malicious forces. But his power to deal with them is outstanding. He has a high tolerance for being treated poorly that has been cultivated since childhood, doesn't he? Well, yes. But that doesn't mean you have to get him into any adult situations. No, the two big instincts of humans are individual preservation instincts and tribal conservation instincts, the desire for food and the desire for reproduction. Appetite is essential immediately after being born, but the desire for reproductive growth is due to maturation of the body. Both are difficult to control, but Sena's overwhelming experiencing a shortage of reproductive greed. His bad luck has been treated as harmful all his life, and many people have tried to get away from him, but now that he is famous, many people are approaching him. People who came close to Sena in the past and have been favorable, but what if malicious people begin coveting his affection? It's a recipe for disaster. Are you sure about that, Cedo-sama? Jai-Kirin, who was watching over their conversation until then, said a bit sarcastically to Cedo, trying to justify her own actions. Of course, if you change your point of view, then the influence of Sena's power on this world is far more than I ever imagined. It's dangerous. I can understand that, Cedo, but there's no need to rush things. Are you saying that because you honestly think it's bad for him, or do you feel that it is a bad thing because of Sena? Do I feel that it's a bad thing because of Sena? Kariko tilted her head. She didn't understand Cedo's question. Maybe I should say it this way. Do you think that because of Sena's bad luck? Maybe it makes you think you dislike Sena sometimes? Hakurin chimed in. Oh! Sena draws space pirates because Sena recognizes the existence of space pirates as a bad thing. Naturally, if that position changed, the Galactic Federation would be bad and he would attract us. What I'm trying to say is the quality of the trouble that Sena attracts might be affected by Sena's beliefs, and if his way of thinking changes, there is a possibility things might change, but I have to test that out to confirm it. That's horrible. You're treating him like a weapon. You would look at it that way. You're too pessimistic about Sena. It is better to say that for Sena it's his strength. In any case, from a space pirate point of view, he is a weapon. Cedo smiled and turned to look at Kariko in the eyes. Weapons are abandoned when they are no longer needed, and that's why we have to look for a technique to control Sena's bad luck from now on. To do that, it is necessary to make his wishes come true. Lady Cedo. Kariko remembered the time before when she quarreled with Sena about him not returning to Earth. I want to stay in outer space. If I miss this, I'll never get another chance. I want to go to places on a spaceship and see many things. If Sena's bad luck hadn't become necessary, it was highly likely that he would have ended up isolated somewhere, like radioactive waste. But that would have deprived Sena from ever fulfilling his hopes and dreams. But if he could control his bad luck. You seem to understand, now don't you? Kariko nodded. However, it was still impossible to convince her immediately. Then it's not overkill now, is it? Cedo said with a gritty look. Ringo-chan, would you like to do it? What? I am a... Maybe Minaho-chan should do it. I know he'd probably have the least complaints if you did it, Kariko-chan. I can't just do it with him like that. We don't know what will happen if you wait now, do we? I'm sorry, but Sena's not in a situation where we can wait for such a thing. Well, maybe Jai-Kirin-chan is a bad idea. Cedo looked at Hakurin's group. Why am I excluded? That's a good decision. Oh, why do you say that, Karen? Jai-Kirin smiled at Karen putting her on the spot. Hakurin froze up and began thinking to herself at a high speed, and turned red and hid behind Hakurin. You see, Karen looked away and her face turned red. Well, if none of you want to do it, I guess I'll leave it to my other officers. They're good at teaching. What? No. No matter how you cut it, things are going to be complicated. His first time, especially in the case of Kariko and Sena, you two will have only yourselves to blame when it's bad, and you can't keep the relationship going afterwards. Well, that is Hey Kariko-chan, if you really want to be Sena's first, you should consider doing some kind of training. Well, Cedo, that's enough. Karen quickly interrupted the conversation. Cedo didn't mean sex between a pseudo-personal construct, she meant the real thing. Cedo approached Hakurin and smacked the back of her head with her hand, snapping her back to reality. Is it that difficult to teach people without actual experience? Hey, it will be Sena's first time. Don't you want it to be good for him? Cedo said. Kariko started thinking to herself about it. I do not need to think about it. I'm happy to devote my virginity to Sena. Jaikirin quickly answered with a smart, glittering smile. Eh? Everyone, including Cedo, looked at Jaikirin with strange eyes. What? I am a virgin. What? Everyone said all at once in astonishment. Rude, and you of all people should know. Jaikirin stared at Hakurin and smiled with her tongue out. Even hand and mouth? Of course, Jaikirin smiled brightly. I don't mean to derail the conversation, but Kariko, if you let Jaikirin-chan go first, then Sena will compare everyone after to her. Wouldn't you rather have that be you? Sito nudged Kariko. Well, that is think about it. I'll give you 30 seconds. Well 10 seconds have passed. Cedo brought a watch out of her pocket and started counting. Wait a moment. 20 seconds have passed. 10, 9, 8. Kariko was embarrassed by Cedo's heartless countdown. Sena was brought by Tsukiko to a place that looked like a Japanese garden. Water gushed from the bottom of a small pond. I don't mind doing it, but it's easier if you take off your own shoes, Tsukiko said. Sena took off his shoes and entered the room. Now, sit down there and relax. I'll make us some tea, or, if you're tired, I could let you get some sleep. It's all right, I've gotten some rest and I'm adjusted to the time difference too. Heh. Is that so? Tsukiko looked at Sena and distorted her expression, and she hugged Sena. Aunt Tsukiko, I'm sorry, you must have been very worried. I was worried, but it was more frustrating than worrying. Frustrating? If you hadn't made it back, I would have just died without you. What? Don't laugh, Sena, I love you. I also like you too, Aunt Tsukiko. Tsukiko kissed Sena to shut him up. It wasn't a kiss one would give their child, it was a kiss one would give another adult. Aunt Tsukiko? When I heard you had gone up into space, I was stunned. When Kariko came up to space and chose to live away from you, Sena, I thought I was going to take her place with you, but you just went up into space with her. After she came around, Kariko accepted it. I was really happy, as her mother and as your guardian. Tsukiko looked away from Sena and leaned to press her forehead against Sena's chest. It took this incident for me to realize I couldn't wait around to tell you my feelings anymore. Tsukiko said. Sena's heart beat faster. It was the first time in his life that a woman confessed her feelings to him. When he was a kid, he had gotten to know Tsukiko's face well. But he only recognized her as the mother of Kariko and Kai. But when he observed her now, he noticed that she had the youthful glow of a woman in her prime and looked to be little more than Kariko's older sister. Before he went up to space, he might not have accepted that confession. But now that he had an extended lifespan, his perception of the age difference had changed completely. Even if she was 20 years older, the difference of 20 years or 30 years meant nothing in the 2,000 years he was expected to live. It was like less than a year, at most a school year. This is bad. Sena's tension was steadily rising as he began to feel conscious of Tsukiko as a woman who had confessed her love for him. And since she had kissed him, he was very aware. He tried to distance himself from her, but she wouldn't allow him to. She noticed the change in Sena and drew closer to him to get near it. Hey, Sena-chan, Tsukiko said to Sena with a hungry look in her eyes. Sena felt weird about seeing this expression coming from her. He thought of her like Tenio, Kion, and Minaho, but at the same time she was different from them. However, that wasn't why he felt something was off. You're not Aunt Tsukiko, are you? Sena said unconsciously. What are you talking about, Sena-chan? Tsukiko moved her face closer to Sena. Hey, Aunt Tsukiko. Please call me Tsukiko, she said delicately. Oh, hey, Tsukiko, Tsukiko kissed Sena again, and as she held him in her grip strongly. Sena, that's not my mother. It's a fake. Kariko and Hakurin came in the room. Fake? Oh, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Tsukiko changed. Not only her face, but also her body to another woman's appearance. Kisa Panta, what are you doing? You're the captain of the local corps. Kariko looked startled. The local corps was primarily responsible for intelligence gathering. Their captain, Kisu, was a particularly mysterious person. Even before Cedo and Minaho, she rarely exposed her face. Kariko had never seen her face in person, only in video materials. Amazing. She's the genuine article. This is the first time I've seen it too. Hakurin reacted like she saw a ghost. However, the figure of Kisa was a plain woman who didn't seem to be the captain of a local battalion at first glance. She looked to be around 40 and seemed overworked. This is the first time I've seen you in this form. Did Cedo put you up to this? Why are you here? Well, before all this, Kariko was about to miss out on Cedo's countdown when suddenly the start-up sound of a communication monitor was heard, and the monitor started up in front of Kariko's eyes. Miss Kariko, incoming communication from your mother on Earth. What? Oh, Kariko. You're safe. I'm so glad. I thought I'd give you a call once you arrived on Jurai to see how you were doing. Mom? Is Sena safe? Mother, what on earth is going on? Kariko looked at Cedo through the monitor. She quickly diverted her eyes. Why are you acting so funny? Is everything all right? Minaho-san told me that Sena-chan had arrived on Jurai, so I called as soon as she let me know. Hey, Kariko. Kariko ignored her mother and understood everything from how Cedo was looking away. She ran out after Sena. Wait, Kariko. Hakurin followed Kariko with the other three. So why are you here? Damn Minaho, that woman would be the one to disturb my enjoyment. I'll have to punish her later. Kisa-senpai, please unhand Sena. Before I do. Kisa raised her hands to stop Kariko, who was approaching her. Kariko stopped like she had pushed a pause button. Even though her power gave off no intrusive pressure like Cedo's, she managed to stop Kariko with just a casual hand gesture. Reading the hearts of people and manipulating them, that was the ability of the leader of the local corps. She was Cedo's top officer. Hey Sena, do you know why I'm able to become Sakiko-chan? Huh. I have never met her before. But working such a job, I have gotten to know everything about her, and I have assessed her identity so I am able to become her. That should be proof enough for you. Despite her plain appearance, Kisa's eyes had a force in them, a strong will and presence like Cedo's. And when Sena noticed that in Kisa, who was supposed to be a plain and mediocre-looking older woman, he noticed she was also an irresistible and attractive woman comparable to a Main and Jaikurin. Please, I'd like you to tell me about your life in secondary school. That's not easy. Sena tried to get away from Kisa. I know it will be difficult, but please explain with concrete words as much as possible. Well, Sena tried to put the words in his mind into sentences. He looked in the direction of Kariko and began to explain to Kisa so that Kariko would not hear him. He whispered, Oh, I see. Thank you. Thank you. Kisa smiled and once again drew her body close to Sena. Then she left from him so fast that Sena fell over. Thank you. I will tell you something good as a reward. When I turn into someone, I have to know something about that person. Yeah, I thought you were the real Aunt Sakiko. That's why I told you what I just told you. What I said before was not fiction. What? Oh! Sena was surprised and caught off guard. Kisa pushed Sena into a small pond. Sena disappeared. Oops. It was an emergency transfer gate. The one Kariko had jumped out. Kariko stared at Kisa and ran towards the gate. Be careful, Kariko-chan. If you aren't careful, Sakiko-chan will take your place, Kisa said. Kariko jumped into the gate after bowing. Minaho seems to be rooting for you, Kariko-chan, but for me I'd like to support Sakiko-chan. Well, either way I have to punish Minaho for disturbing my fun. Kisa turned away from Kariko. I confirmed the activation of the emergency gate. An officer gave a report to Cedo's other officials. I can't believe that Miss Kisa showed her face. Well, I did warn Kariko that she had to act fast. Cedo, preparation for the public bath has been completed. But Cedo-sama, I'm not sure how to say this, but Sena has disappeared from our tracking system. Something tells me Minaho is behind this. Sena felt like he was floating. He opened his eyes and found himself suspended in the air upside down. Sena felt like he had bumped his head. He looked around and saw the trunk of a huge tree. A lady was climbing Tenju as she held him. Where am I? Sena was thrown up and flipped right side up, and the woman grabbed him and smiled at him. Welcome to Jurai, Sena. What? What's going on? Sena remembered the face of the lady, but wasn't sure where from. Suddenly she began climbing up super fast. Sena's here, she called. Suddenly Sena was taken in a window and was placed on a soft cushion. Why didn't you bring him the normal way? A quiet but powerful voice said. Are you all right? You're not hurt, are you? A worried woman squatted down over him. Funaho Masaki Jurai, Sena said. Funaho smiled. She was surprised Sena remembered her. It was Masaki Jurai who brought Sena up Tenju to see her. He couldn't see his face, but Sena was sure he knew who the man there was. That must be the Jurian Emperor, Azusa Masaki Jurai. Sena hurried and sat up. He saluted the three of them. Together with Hakuren, Kuriko got on a pleasure train that toured around the place. It ran from the lower layer to the middle layer of Tenju and then to the upper layer. It was a train that traveled slowly over the course of about 5 days. She got up and walked towards the back to the section reserved for royalty. Welcome, Ringo-sama. Why are you here? Ringo greeting her in the uniform of the train crew. This line is managed by my relatives. Minaho is waiting for you. Kuriko entered and was welcomed by Minaho with a smiling face. In the lounge car, the whole sky could be seen. Thanks for your hard work. It was a lot of hard work. Please sit down. You too, Hakuren. Ms. Minaho, where is Sena now? Kuriko asked. Now my grandparents have taken him to their place. What? It's off limits to everyone without permission, even Cedo. Is that so? Kuriko sat down on the sofa relieved. Ringo put some tea in front of Kuriko and smiled. Please enjoy, Hakuren. You too, Ringo said. Hakuren also sat on the sofa. But Minaho, how long do you think you can keep Sena out of Cedo's grip while he is here? Honestly, indefinitely would be best. Cedo-sama is trying to do something with him that I seriously have to think about. It's no wonder that you want that, but I don't think Cedo-sama is planning to do anything right away. I think she was just teasing you. You call that teasing? Do you know why that assassination attempt on Sena happened? Or what triggered Sena and you to meet Cedo? Yes, the number of member countries to the Galactic Federation has increased, and the pirates were overwhelmed by our forces. Yeah, well, as you know, Kuriko-chan, our finances for fighting have recently increased greatly. That was hell. Ringo-sama is like a demon with expenditures. Kuriko turned pale blue and trembled. Ringo cleared her throat and looked away. Since Sena came into the picture, there's been a sharp decline in the damage caused by space pirates, and not only the Galactic Federation, but also Jurai have seen considerable economic development. Of course, tax revenues rose with that. Our anti-pirate costs have also decreased, and the huge amount of prize money from capturing the pirates have kept Ringo and I very busy. Yes, and other various things. Of course, the accounting department has had their budget cut, but that's a good thing. Everything has started to move in a good direction. Ryooki even came to Jurai on a peace mission thanks to his help. You saw her, right? Yes, she was not like what I pictured from the rumors. She was pretty cute. Yes, well, thanks to Sena, our economy is booming and Ringo's accounting department practically worships him. So you can see why Cedo is eager to do some more experimentation on him, right? Anyway, I can keep him away from her, but only for a while. There is a luncheon scheduled for him this evening, and from there he will be getting a new assignment. So it's up to you once he gets to the luncheon. A new mission? Yes, I think you will be surprised. Yes, I understand. Well then, please keep Sena in the Emperor's place until the luncheon. I think he's safe for the time being. Minaho said, relaxing everyone. Well then, I better hurry. Hakuren said. Hakuren changed to Kisa Panta as the car they were in was cut off from the rest of the train. Kisa-senpai. What are you? To sneak around inconspicuously is my specialty. You should remember that, Kuriko-chan. Kisa winked at Kuriko and looked at Minaho with a smiling face. Well, Miss Minaho, this more than makes up for you disturbing my entertainment. What do you mean? What are you planning to do? Minaho asked, overwhelmed by Kisa's powers. Oh, Ringo, can you please do me a favor? Kisa glared at her. Miss Cedo, we've located Sena. He's on the top floor of the Emperor's palace. Unfortunately, the plan is cancelled. We can't get into the Emperor's palace, but thank you for the info. It's too early to give up. Please call Yuzaki. Yuzaki-sama. Well, this is his first visit to Jurai. He might as well meet her. Oh ha 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 ha. Oh ho 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 ho. Wow, what a splendid villain's laugh. As one would expect from Cedo. Like audience members watching a show, Cedo's officers applauded Cedo behind her. Oh haha. That makes you guys my evil henchmen. Don't waste time saying such foolish things. Send out Yuzaki. Okay.